You don't stop walking because you grow old. You grow old because you stop walking. These are the words of Dr. Shigeki Hinohara, a Japanese physician who lived with vitality until the age of 105. He wasn't talking only about movement, he was talking about life, and perhaps without realizing it, about one of the quietest losses we face as we age, the loss of muscle. Not suddenly, not loudly, but slowly, silently, like the fading of color from an old photograph. First, it's the moment you hesitate before rising from a chair, then the decision to avoid that one staircase, and finally, the growing fear that your own legs might not respond when you need them most. It's not just strength that slips away. It's confidence, independence, the small freedoms we never thought we'd lose, walking across a room without thinking, reaching for a book on the shelf, bending down to tie a shoelace. When these motions start to feel distant, even dangerous, something inside us changes. A kind of quiet surrender begins. And yet most people don't even notice until much has already been lost. What makes it worse is a dangerous belief many carry, that this decline is final, that after 60 or 70 the body can no longer rebuild, that once muscle disappears, it never returns, that to recover strength you'd need expensive supplements, complex diets, or routines that feel far from reach. So many simply accept the decline. They eat less, move less, and wait. But the wait brings more weakness. Now listen to this. Food is not just calories, it's information, says Dr. Mark Hyman. The right food signals your body to build, not break down. This idea changes everything, because it means the body is still listening. It means there are foods, humble, everyday foods, that carry instructions. And when you choose the right one, at the right time, you're not just eating. You're speaking to your muscles. You're telling them to hold on, to stay, to repair. In this video, we'll explore one such food, simple, affordable, often overlooked. A food that, when used the right way, especially before sleep, can slow or even reverse the quiet erosion of your strength. We'll talk about the science, but we'll also talk about traditions, about the habits of those who at 90 still walk with certainty, about small routines that whisper to your body, I still care. I'm still here. Because this is not just about nutrition, it's about reclaiming the power to move, the ability to walk without fear, the quiet dignity of knowing your legs will carry you, even tomorrow. And it begins with one food, just one. There is something quietly sacred about the night. The world softens, the breath slows, the body, weary from the weight of another day, begins its silent work of repair. And yet in so many homes, especially among those over 60, this healing time goes unfed. The body asks for restoration, but receives nothing. Muscles already fragile from years of gradual loss slip further into decline, not from illness, but from absence, from the simple fact that nothing was offered before the lights were turned off. Here lies a forgotten wisdom, both scientific and ancestral, that can change the way aging unfolds. Its name is casein, a slow-absorbing protein, rich and enduring, found in foods like cottage cheese. Most people have never heard of it. Others dismiss it as just another dairy product. But for older bodies, casein holds a secret. It keeps working long after the plate is empty. While you rest, it continues. While you dream, it builds. And in those fragile nighttime hours, it becomes a quiet guardian of your strength. Recent studies show that casein, taken before bed, can significantly increase muscle protein synthesis in older adults. In simple terms, it helps your body hold onto the muscle it still has, and even rebuild what has been lost. Unlike fast-burning proteins that vanish within hours, casein lingers. It nourishes slowly, like a steady hand on your shoulder through the night. But this isn't just science. In many traditional cultures, nighttime dairy was never just a comfort. It was medicine. In India, warm milk before bed. In parts of Eastern Europe, a spoon of curds with herbs. In the Mediterranean, soft cheeses served after dinner, not before. These weren't luxury habits. They were acts of care, gentle rituals to help the body restore itself when the world went quiet. Today, we can bring that wisdom home again. No need for complicated recipes or expensive powders. Just half a cup of cottage cheese, stirred gently with a pinch of turmeric or cinnamon, taken an hour before sleep. A small act, a silent offering, but inside it tells the muscles, you are not forgotten, you are still needed. Imagine this, casein as a night guard, not armored or loud, but present, watchful, repairing what the day wore down. While your heart slows, while your dreams unfold, it stays, quietly rebuilding the body that still wants to carry you forward. Aging does not ask for miracles. It asks for presence, for nourishment, for consistency, and sometimes for one small bite, taken with love, before the night begins. It often begins with a good intention, a light dinner, nothing heavy, a piece of toast, a bowl of soup, maybe just tea, and then sleep. Peaceful, quiet, uneventful. The hours pass, 10, 12, sometimes more. Then morning comes, but breakfast waits, sometimes until 10, sometimes skipped altogether. This long stretch, from the last bite at night to the first in the morning, becomes a kind of fast. A fast not of the mind, but of the muscle. For younger bodies, this gap may pass unnoticed, but after 60, it quietly erodes strength. Muscles, already vulnerable, rely on a steady stream of nourishment to stay intact. When they go too long without protein, especially overnight, the body begins to break them down, not as punishment, but for fuel, for survival. The muscles, in a way, become dinner for the night, and the person, without knowing it, wakes up slightly weaker than the day before. This is one of the hidden patterns of aging, the unintentional fasting that accelerates decline, not from lack of care, but from habits inherited over time. For decades, we've heard that eating less is healthier, that late-night food should be avoided, and for some things that may be true. But when it comes to preserving strength in the aging body, especially muscle, the story is more nuanced. You don't need a feast, not even a full meal, just a simple bite, one that includes protein and just enough fat to slow the burn. Something small, gentle, and steady, a hard-boiled egg, 2 tablespoons of hummus with a drizzle of flaxseed oil, a few spoons of yogurt with ground seeds. Nothing extravagant, but something that says to the body, you're not alone tonight, you're still being cared for. Because here's what many don't realize. Your muscles don't sleep. Your heart rests, your thoughts quiet, but your tissues, they're working, rebuilding, healing from the wear of the day. But they can only do that if they're given something to work with. Otherwise, they start to feed on themselves. There's something deeply human about this need, the need to be fed before rest, to be gently supported through the dark hours. As children, we were tucked in, given a warm drink, a story, a sense of safety. The body, even at 70 or 80, still craves that kind of care. Not in words, but in nourishment, in gestures. Your muscles are listening, even at night, and if they are fed just a little, they will carry you farther with more certainty into the morning. Because the truth is simple, and yet so often forgotten. The body does not only break down when you move too little, it also breaks down when you nourish too little, especially in the hours when you believe it's resting. But in fact, it's repairing, preparing, holding on, if and only if you give it the chance. Let the night become not a time of silent loss, but of quiet recovery. Let your final act of the day be one of kindness, not just for the heart, but for the legs that will rise again in the morning. There are changes in the body that no one ever explained. You wake up after a full night's sleep, but the fatigue still clings to your bones. You eat the same food you always did, but now it sits heavier, slower. You move less, not from laziness, but because each motion feels like it demands more effort than it once did. And underneath it all, a sense of disconnection begins to settle, between what the mind wants and what the body is able to do. This isn't just about getting older. It's about the quiet decline in the body's communication system. The hormones that once moved like messengers through your bloodstream, telling your muscles to repair, your energy to rise, your body to rebuild. As muscle mass declines, these messengers begin to falter. One of the most important of these signals is insulin. And when the body becomes resistant to insulin, it no longer receives the message to grow, only to store, to slow, to stiffen. But here's what is often overlooked. This cycle is not fixed. It is not a sentence. It is a loop. And like any loop, it can be broken. Not through pills or force, but through nourishment. Through one small but powerful act, giving your body the right amino acids at the right moment. When a modest portion of casein, from cottage cheese for instance, is eaten before bed, it does more than feed the muscles. It whispers to the hormones, "Wake up, you're still needed." Protein, especially at night, doesn't just support repair. It helps restore balance. It improves how the body responds to insulin, even in sleep. It resets a rhythm that aging tries to interrupt, the rhythm of renewal. And when that rhythm is gently restored, something else returns as well. Clarity, steadiness, the quiet strength beneath every confident step. Dr. Mark Hyman reminds us that food isn't just fuel, it's instruction. The quality and timing of food impact your hormones as much as medication, especially as we age. These are not abstract words, they are deeply personal. Because when hormones are out of tune, everything feels harder. Walking, healing, remembering, even resting. But the good news is that the body listens. Even now, even at 60 or 70 or 85, the signals can still be sent. They just need to be clear, consistent, and kind. One beautiful way to support this is with a small ritual before sleep. A serving of protein paired with a gentle fat, like a spoon of cottage cheese with a few almonds or walnuts. Nothing grand, nothing heavy, but together, they help stabilize insulin, slow digestion, and offer the body what it needs to do its hidden work of healing through the night. Think of it this way: your hormones are messengers, but if they are not given the right tools, they cannot deliver the message. They return in silence, and in that silence the body forgets how to repair. But when fed, simply, intentionally, they speak again. And what they say is this: it's not over, it's still possible. Growth can still happen, even now, because the true strength of aging isn't just in muscles, it's in listening to what the body is asking for, and responding with care. And sometimes the answer is no, louder than a single bite, taken before bed. In a small village in the mountains of Greece, there lives a man who is 92 years old. His hands are thick from tending soil. His back bends only slightly, like a tree that has grown strong through storms. And each evening before sleep, he sits quietly with a plate, a small piece of firm cheese, a few olives, nothing more. When asked why he eats the same thing every night, he answers simply, "To keep my knees firm." He does not speak of protein, inflammation, or muscle synthesis. He speaks of function, of the dignity that comes from being able to stand on your own, to walk to the garden, to open a door without calling for help. In his voice, there is no urgency, only rhythm. A life of small, steady gestures that kept him moving long after others had stopped. This simple ritual, repeated gently through decades, holds a wisdom that science is only beginning to explain. The combination of firm cheese, rich in slow-absorbing protein, and olives, full of healing anti-inflammatory fats, offers exactly what aging muscles and joints quietly ask for at night. Not more, but better. Not volume, but value. Concentrated message of nourishment that arrives just when the body begins its repair. In the blue zones, places like Ikaria, Sardinia, Okinawa, this kind of evening nourishment is not rare. It's woven into culture, into routine, into the end of day. These aren't indulgences, they are acts of preparation. Small bites that support not only rest, but resilience. They don't chase youth, they preserve mobility. Not for vanity, but for the sacred ability to move through the world with independence. There is something beautiful in the simplicity. 2 slices of feta cheese, a few olives, nothing fried, nothing artificial, eaten slowly, perhaps while listening to the radio, perhaps while watching the last light slip behind the trees, and it's done 3 nights a week. No rule, no pressure, just a rhythm, like breath. What this old man teaches us is not found in textbooks. It's found in his walk, firm, measured, unassisted, in the way he still gathers herbs from the hillside, in the way he does not think of food as a fix, but as a companion. He didn't eat for strength, he ate for function, and that's why he still walks alone. So often we look for answers in new discoveries, but sometimes the answer is already there, in the quiet habit of someone who has lived long and well. in a plate passed down through generations, in the understanding that food is not only fuel, it's memory, it's protection, it's the quiet anchor that holds us upright when so much else begins to sway. What if, like him, you too could greet the night with a small plate, not to fight aging, but to walk with it, not to conquer time, but to honor it, and in doing so perhaps discover that even now, your body is willing to carry you, if only you give it the care it remembers, the care it still responds to. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara once said, "Aging is not the enemy. Inactivity is. Not just inactivity of the legs or arms, but of intention, of choice. The quiet decision to stop moving, to stop nourishing, to stop believing that the body can still respond. That is what wears us down more than any number of birthdays. When people speak of aging, they often picture decline. But what if aging is not a slow disappearance, but a call to care more deliberately, to live more attentively, to choose more wisely what we give our bodies, especially when the world goes still? There is power in that hour before bed. Not loud, not rushed, not dramatic, but real. It's a time when so much inside us, hormones, tissues, memory, muscle, is still working, quietly, invisibly, faithfully, and yet so often we go into the night empty. Not just of food, but of the kind of nourishment that tells the body it's still safe to build, still safe to repair, still safe to be strong. That final hour of the day isn't a moment to ignore. It's a gate. The body is listening as it enters sleep, and what we give it, or don't, can shape how we rise the next day. Whether the legs feel solid or unsure, whether we feel like standing or avoiding the walk, these are not accidents. They are the echoes of what we fed or failed to feed. It doesn't take a feast. It doesn't require anything foreign. Just one simple food, humble and familiar, offered at the right time, with the right care. A modest portion of cottage cheese, a few slices of cheese with olives, a boiled egg or spoonful of hummus. These aren't just snacks, they're signals. They say to the body, you are not forgotten, you are still being supported. And in return, the body softens its grip on decline. It repairs. It holds on. Dr. Mark Hyman reminds us, every bite is a message to your body, a code. Think of that for a moment. Every bite is a message, not noise, not filler, but language. A whisper that either builds or breaks. The choice is not about perfection, it's about presence. When we offer our muscles protein before sleep, especially one that works through the night like casein, we're not chasing youth. We're preserving function. We're protecting our ability to stand, to walk, to live without fear of falling. So often people wait for big signs of change, dramatic transformations or overnight improvements. But aging doesn't answer to drama. It answers to rhythm, to care repeated night after night, to a food chosen not because it's trendy, but because it works, because it's been part of quiet traditions that kept men and women walking into their 80s and 90s, not because of miracles, but because of consistency. And this perhaps is the real secret. That strength even now doesn't come from force. It comes from the small repeated act of remembering that your body is still worthy of nourishment. That one bite, taken with care before sleep, is not a small thing. It is a promise that tomorrow, your feet will meet the floor, that your legs will carry you to the window, that the light will meet your eyes and you will rise steady and whole.